You're not misreading it. If we continue on the path that we're going, we will complete what the white supremacists started out to do, and this, their fourth category of racism. They have 4 stages, in my opinion, of racism in the form of white supremacy. That's establishment. That's getting it started. I don't know when it got started. Many people debate this even today. When did white supremacy begin? I don't know. Some people say 400 years. Some say 600 years. Some say 2,000 years. Some say as far back as 6,000 years. My answer to that question is, I don't know. I don't know the first person that looked at another person and say, I think that I will start mistreating you on the basis of color. Because whomever that person was, it might have been one person, it might have been a committee of people, but somebody looked at somebody else at some point in time in the history of the world. And I don't think anybody who's breathing now can pinpoint exactly who that person was or what committee of people that was that on that very instant, I'm talking about the very minute, the very day, that somebody looked at another person, one person looked at another person and say, you know what, I've decided that you are the wrong color. And since you are the wrong color, I've decided that I need someone who is the wrong color to be eligible for me to dominate and mistreat and do with them whatever I want to do with them, and they can't do anything about it. Now, that's the essence of racism. Somebody got that idea. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this discussion even today, because it wouldn't exist. But somebody got the idea that somebody on the basis of color should be mistreated for the benefit of somebody else. Now, who started that on the very day, whatever was a Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, or even, I'm sure, long before there was a calendar, somebody came up with that idea, and it turned out to be the most powerful political and religious idea ever thought of. And so they went through that stage of establishing that type of system because it became a system. The system of white supremacy is what I call it. So they got it established. Now, once they got it established in all 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, once they got it off and running, then they say, okay, we got this machine running. How are we going to maintain it? So then they start figuring out ways to keep it going, because once you start a business, you want your business to keep going, because white supremacy is a business that had profits to it, okay, lots of profits to it. So they say, well, let's keep this thing going. Now, how long do we want to keep it going? Well, as long as we can, all right? Like anybody who goes into business wants that business to keep going as long as it is a profitable business. So white supremacy is very profitable for the people who practice it. So they say, okay, now we'll maintain it. We have already got stage number 1, establishment, that's getting it started. Now we got to maintain our business. That's the second stage. Now we got to expand our business. Now, how do we expand the business of white supremacy? Say, well, we expand it by taking in more and more subjects. I mean, you got to have more and more commodities in any business. I mean, if you're in the sugar business, you grow your sugar business by getting more sugar. All right? So if you're in the cotton business, you expand your cotton business by getting more cotton. Okay, so our business of racism is expanding it by getting more people who are subject to the system of racism. More people to serve you any way that you want them to serve you. So how do we do that? Well, there's more people on earth now than there was 10,000 years ago, and most of them are people who you can classify as non-white. So you say, hey, these people are being born all the time, all right? And we'll tailor them so that not too many of them are born in any particular place at any particular time by killing some of them off or getting them to kill each other. And that will stabilize our business, but we'll still be expanding. because we're still taking in more and more people under our system, people who are under our system, all these non-white people who are being born, all these pregnant young black girls out here and whatnot. I mean, they're coming into the system that we already have set up. And we got everything set up for them. They don't know it, but we got it set up for them. I don't care what kind of plans they got. We got plans for them they don't even know anything about. And our plan is more powerful than their plan. So that's the expansion. That's the third stage of white supremacy. Now, once you get the third stage, you go to the fourth stage, like any other business, and that's the refinement stage. Let's put the finishing touches on it. Let's go around like if you're building a building. I mean, after you get the building built, then you go around and you say, hey, we got a pretty nice hotel here. So now let's have a swimming pool out here. And let's add on a few things. I mean, let's plant some hedges around here and let's do another paint job over here on the west side. And let's put some ornaments around the windows or something like that. That's putting the finishing touches on it. Now, that's what the white supremacists are doing now. And what are the finishing touches in the system of white supremacy? More deception. In other words, make it look like something that is not. Make it look like it's a democracy. Make it look like it's heaven. Make it look like it's everything that people will want to gravitate toward and praise and keep it going. Even the subjects themselves will say it's the best thing ever thought of. And then you put the finishing touches on your mistreatment, all right? And you tell people, now, what you dark people should need, you're talking about housing, you're talking about schools and all like that. You don't want to be bothered with all that. What you really want, because you people are very sexual, you want more varieties in your sexuality, don't you? See, that's what they're presenting, just like you're saying, to the dark people of the world now. You people don't want better housing. You just think you do. You don't want better jobs. You just think you do. You don't want to refine your different religions and whatnot. You just think you do. So that people get along with each other better and stop killing each other about religion and all these divisions and whatnot. That's not what you want. You don't want that corrected. I'll tell you what you really want, because you people are very sexual. What you want is more varieties of sexuality. Don't you? Don't you very intelligent black people, don't you want? That's what you want more than anything on earth. You need more variety in your sexuality. Male and female is not good enough. That's old hat. That's old-fashioned. You don't want to be stuck with that. Besides, you're having too many problems with it. Maybe if you kind of fan it out, and spread it out a little bit, you'll have less problems, won't you? So let's come up with as many different types of sexuality as we can possibly think of. Well, what would we call it? Well, since we don't have a decent name for it, we'll just have what you call a temporary name, a compensatory name. We'll just call it gay to start off with. Then we'll go from that to lesbian. Then we'll go from that to bisexual, okay? And then we'll go from that to transgender. Then, hey, after maybe 6 or 8 months or 6 to 8 years, whatnot, down the road, hey, you got bisexual? What's wrong with trisexual? Expand. Free your mind. All kinds of love. See, they're doing it in the name of love and freedom, okay? So they say, hey, love should have many dimensions, not just one. That gets boring. So let's try a trisexual, and then quadsexual, and then sexsexual, and then quadruple sexual, and then let's have omnisexual. Let's have non-sexual, multisexual, anosexual, contrasexual. Let's have other sexual, like you do with the racial thing. Other race, some other race. Yes. Now, anybody who says, wait a minute, let's just try to improve on male, female. We ain't got that straight yet. Right. Before we fan out all over the countryside with all these other things. Kitty sexual. fourth grade sexual and all this type of stuff, you know, and having it permeated in the schools, and stop teaching math and science and whatnot, and have everybody running around in the fourth grade feeling on each other and say, hey, you're not really a female, and I'm not really a male. We are omnisexual. I mean, there's no such thing as gender. Gender doesn't matter. I mean, whatever created people according to gender must have made a huge mistake. Because let's not be narrowed down to putting us in that box of just male and female. I mean, that's old-fashioned. I mean, that's for old folks. I mean, we new folks are going to come up with 2,000 or 3,000 different type of genders, and then the world will be much better off because we won't have all of this, I mean, fighting and going on about male and female, because we won't have any fighting at all because everything will be the same. No such thing as a male, no such thing as a female. And we're going to try it all out on all of these dark-skinned people because they are the experimental station for everything that comes down the pike that has a huge question mark on it as far as sanity is concerned. That's the white supremacist agenda. They are behind all of this dispersion of sexualities, and they're putting it all among black people, and the evidence shows it. And they want black people to lead the parade. You can't get a decent house, but you can join, or you can not only join, you can lead the gay parade if you're black. But you can't get a decent house over your head unless you're going to lead the gay parade. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Now, what I'm saying is either true or false. And anybody who says that what I'm saying is false, step forward and then just don't attack Neely Fuller. I always say, don't believe anything that Neely Fuller says, ever. Go take a look and see what you see. Believe your lying eyes. Logically speaking, sex is a very powerful force, an extremely powerful force. And if you can confuse people sexually, you can confuse them in everything else very easily. And the white supremacists thrive on confusion among their victims. They always have. Confusion in economics, confusion in education, confusion in entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And so right now they're centering on sex because they say sex is very powerful. People, you know, everybody is sexual in one form or another. People who don't even study sex, anything like that, they start getting sexual feelings. At a certain age, you know, you're 12, 13 years old, you might start saying, hey, something is happening to my body. I mean, you know, and really, I don't even know what it is. Mm-hmm. Anybody who has had their first sexual urges has some idea about what that's like. And most people do have, at a certain age, start getting sexual urges. I mean, a lot of females have said they didn't know what was happening to their bodies. I mean, they start feeling like they were bad girls, right. You know, because people were saying, you know, that sex is something, I mean, you shouldn't even think about. Right. But then they're thinking about it, right. And they can't help it. Right. And boys the same way, all right? Now, the white supremacists step in and say, oh, I know you're thinking about it. But I will tell you how to think about it, and I will direct the way that it will go, because those urges are there. I mean, you know, you're walking around with this volcano in you. I mean, and it's getting stronger and stronger. It's got to go somewhere, right? Because this is energy. So the white supremacist said, I will direct all of you dark people's energy the way I want it to go and make it good for my business of deceiving you and confusing you, because if I can confuse you in your sexuality, I can confuse you in everything else very easily, because everything else becomes valueless. You won't even know what direction to go in about nothing once I get my control of your entire sexual impulses. That's the white supremacist philosophy, and they are correct, and they are steady working at it. And anybody who is saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe we ought to think about this. Maybe we ought to sit down and give this some serious thought about whether it's going to be the most constructive thing for us, or whether or not it should be a priority, like it's what, you know, you seem to be making it, sir. Mm-hmm. and ma'am. You seem to be making this a priority for us. We have other priorities. But they say, no, I'll make your priorities. And you need more sexuality categories. That's what you need.